Chosen one, this message didn't arrive by chance. It was time to reach you in this exact moment. Something unseen has been shifting like gears behind the curtain, and the click you just heard in your spirit is that machinery locking into place. Your silence has been mocked, your restraint misnamed as weakness. Yet what if I told you they never wanted you to know that obedience, not argument, is what terrifies them? If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. Stay with me, because before this is over you will see how your quiet alignment dismantles every lie they built to contain you, and why heaven never asked you to convince anyone, only to move. The lie of loud proof. They taught you to defend yourself, to present evidence, to explain the unexplainable to ears determined not to hear. You felt cornered into speeches that drained you, debating with people who had already decided your verdict before you opened your mouth. This is the trap. Loudness masquerading as legitimacy. Isaiah 30 verse 15 whispers that strength sits in quietness and trust, but they dangled the bait of performance so you would step out of that shelter and into their circus. Think of Elijah on Carmel, fire answered, not arguments, and still Jezebel's threats chased him. Proof never satisfies those invested in your doubt. Comment proof if you've wasted breath on people who only wanted you voiceless. Breathe now, because once you see why noise was their weapon, you'll understand why silence has been your shield and how the next move exposes them without a word. Did you ever wake from a dream where your mouth moved but no sound came out, yet everyone in the room reacted anyway, as if the air itself carried what you were trying to say? That image lingers because it mirrors your life. An inner voice has been tapping on the glass for years, whispering that the louder you tried to be heard, the less they truly listened. Tonight, that whisper turns into a gentle bell. You were never meant to shout to be real. Something in you knew this all along, and now the knowing steps forward, steady and sure. Think back to the moments you felt out of place for reasons you couldn't name. The classroom where your answer was right but dismissed as attitude. The dinner table where your silence drew more suspicion than anyone else's rant. The friend who asked you to just explain your feelings, then rolled their eyes when you did. You walked away heavy, replaying words, second-guessing tone, wondering if you were in fact too much, too intense, too sensitive. That ache in your chest after defending yourself for the 10th time. Yes, that one was not guilt. It was exhaustion from carrying a truth they refused to hold. Here is where the frame shifts. Those emotions weren't random storms. They were weather patterns designed by an unseen architecture. Isaiah 30 verse 15 has always sat there like a quiet door. In quietness and trust shall be your strength. And you kept getting lured away from it by the carnival barkers of doubt. Elijah called down fire, not footnotes, and still Jezebel threatened him. Proof never satisfies those committed to their own script. Your life has been a stage where debates were traps and demands for explanation were cages. The trap wasn't that you couldn't prove yourself. It was that proving yourself was never the assignment. Then the small signs started surfacing like fish breaking a still lake. A sudden chill when you overshared with the wrong person. Deja vu when someone asked you to lighten up. The exact words you heard years ago in another setting. Dreams that repeated with sharper colors each time. Your body flinched when a lie slid across the table, even if your mind hadn't caught it yet. A random verse, a phrase on a billboard, a clock flashing the same numbers, all echoing the same lesson. You don't have to sell what is already stamped. These were not coincidences. They were breadcrumbs to lead you back to quiet power. Slowly, confirmation settled in like dusk light, soft, undeniable. You realized the knot in your stomach wasn't anxiety. It was your spirit tugging your sleeve. You noticed how peace returned the moment you stopped explaining and simply acted. The internal alignment didn't explode. It unfolded. It felt like finally sitting in a chair made for your spine. You let a challenge pass without a speech, and the fallout you feared never came. You stayed silent in a room buzzing with accusation, and somehow the truth rose on its own. You were not imagining this. You were remembering how your design works. Awareness deepened with a tenderness that surprised you. You saw that becoming yourself was not a makeover but a dig site. Beneath the rubble of apology and performance lived an archetype, a watchman, a scribe, a quiet storm. You have been this all along. Your soul kept the record even when your mind forgot the melody. Like a scroll sealed in wax, your identity waited for heat, not noise, to loosen it. You are not learning to be powerful. You are reclaiming the script etched in your bones before the world taught you to trade it for applause. Now the first activation hums on. You start to honor the sensitivity they mocked. You treat your discernment like a compass, not a curse. You let stillness be strategy. You feel your spine straighten when someone demands proof you no longer owe. This isn't arrogance. It's accuracy. You speak when it serves, not when it soothes them. You move as led, not as pushed. Breath by breath, you step from defense into definition. The shift is quiet, but it shakes foundations, because you no longer feed the hunger that wanted you voiceless. So let this land softly but firmly. You are here now because you were supposed to hear this now. Nothing about your arrival is random. Your silence has been your shield, your restraint, your rebellion. Comment proof if you've wasted breath on ears that only wanted to mute you, and tell us the moment you realized you didn't need to argue to be real. A dream, a chill, a sudden stop. Your story may unlock someone else's. Stay close, because the next current is already rising, and it will show you how your quiet yes sends ripples through realms they can't measure. And if you feel called to go even deeper, there's a sacred space reserved for our community. A private room where you receive full prophetic messages daily. Join our private membership through the link in the description and walk this path with us. Obedience as frequency. Your choices hum louder in the spirit than your explanations ever could. Noah hammered in silence while the sky was clear, and the sound of his obedience tuned the earth to a coming rain. Esther didn't wave banners. She waited, timed, moved once, and kingdoms shifted. When you choose what aligns, even when no one is watching, you broadcast a frequency they can't jam. Proverbs 17 verse 27 says, "Understanding keeps a calm spirit." Calm is not passive, it is precise. You felt it the last time you acted without announcement and saw results speak for you. Comment align if you know one quiet yes has shaken more ground than 1,000 speeches. Hold that note, because next we enter the chamber where silence sharpens into strategy and secrecy protects what God is still building in you. Started as a weight you couldn't place, like walking into a room that smelled of smoke with no fire in sight. The air felt thicker around certain people, your chest tight around certain plans, and somewhere behind your ribs a small metronome skipped a beat each time you said yes to what you knew was off. You couldn't name it then, but a quiet heaviness tracked you, a hush that wasn't peace but pressure. Long before you called yourself chosen, something was already pushing back, testing edges, dimming lights, whispering, not in words but in friction, that an unseen hand was trying to turn your volume down before you even learned how to sing. What did that do to your heart? Nights where you replayed conversations until dawn, wondering if you were rude or just real. Days when the group laughed and you winced because the joke scraped your spirit. You have known the sting of being labeled too intense, the shame of having to explain why a simple lie in the air made your skin crawl. There were cycles where you tried to be smaller, kinder to the point of erasing yourself, or louder than you are just to drown out the rising doubt. Rejection burrowed in like cold, and the echo of "maybe I am the problem" rang way too long. This wasn't simple sadness. It was emotional pressure built by a world allergic to your frequency. Then the lens widened. What if this pressure was not chaos but choreography? Like Israel in the wilderness, you weren't lost. You were led through terrain that stripped the noise so you could hear the signal. Noah built under a blue sky, mocked for hammering when clouds were clear. The resistance wasn't random, it was reaction. Think of Daniel in Babylon, excellence policed because it exposed corruption. Your pushback came from structures, systems, people, seen and unseen, who felt your potential like tremors before an earthquake. You didn't stumble into opposition. You triggered it just by aligning with what was planted in you before birth. Look back with soft eyes and you'll see the pattern glowing under the surface. The job that almost happened until you decided to speak truth. The friend who ghosted right after you set one boundary. The tech glitch on the day you chose to launch. The illness that hit whenever you stepped toward purpose. Different faces, same script. Delay, derail, distract. It's like turning on a light in a storage room. The dust swirls, But now you can see what's there. Unsettling, yes, but also clarifying. Obstacles weren't coincidences. They were coordinates pointing to how potent your obedience actually is. There is a thickness that gathers when light moves through fog. That's spiritual resistance. You felt it as a room suddenly too heavy, as a door that closed with a polite smile, as unseen eyes on your back when you decided to move without announcement. The air itself seemed to disagree. Proverbs 17 verse 27 says a calm spirit shows understanding. Yet the calm in you stirred a storm around you. Heavy air, silent watchers, closed doors that made no sense, sabotage without a sender you could point to. This is interference, not always malicious in form, but always misaligned with your frequency, drawn like moths to a lamp they secretly resent. How did you react inside that fog? Maybe you shut down to avoid the fight, swallowing your own yes until it soured. Maybe you people-pleased, over-explained, overgave, hoping the resistance would ease if you behaved. Or you rebelled in quiet ways, doing what you were told not to do, but hiding so no one could see you succeed. Fear of standing out wrapped itself around your ankles. The urge to shrink felt safer than the risk of being seen and targeted again. None of this makes you weak. It makes you human in a war you weren't told you were fighting. Here's the pivot. The friction was the proof. The resistance was a readout of your signal, not a verdict against it. When your yes hummed, the room shook. When you aligned, they scrambled. Your calm was a threat because it meant you couldn't be baited into their chaos. Think again of Noah. Every nail struck a chord in the spirit, tuning the earth to an approaching storm. Esther's silence, timed and sharp, toppled what loudness never could. Your one quiet yes has shaken more ground than 1,000 arguments. That's not poetic fluff, it's battlefield data. Comment a line if you know a single obedient move you made shifted more than any speech ever has. So here is the soft revelation and the seed of fire. You were opposed because you are catalytic. Their blocks built your backbone. Their doubt carved your discernment. The clearer your purpose became, the more obvious their tactics looked. You don't need to decode every attack to know you carry voltage. You are not crazy, paranoid, or fragile. You are charged. Let that sink in like warm oil over old bruises. Comment a line if you're done mistaking warfare for worthlessness, and take a breath, because what unfolds next will hand you the tools of silent precision. How to guard what's still building, how to move like a blade in velvet, and how to let obedience speak so loudly that every counterfeit plan collapses without you raising your voice. And to every soul who's supported with a super thanks, thank you. You are keeping this light alive for others who haven't found it yet. If you feel called to help this mission reach more chosen ones, tap the super thanks button below. Your energy supports these messages and helps them travel further. Your voice matters, your belief matters, and your light is felt here. The power of silent precision. There is a discipline in doing exactly what you were told, no more to impress, no less to escape the weight. Moses stood still and the sea moved. Exodus 14 verse 14 records that the Lord would fight while Israel stayed silent. Precision keeps holy things from premature exposure. How many times did you leak a vision to the wrong ear and watch it wilt? Silence kept you safe when gossip hunted for crumbs. Now you move like a surgeon, not a street performer. Every step measured, every word weighed. Comment precision if you've learned that secrecy isn't fear, it's stewardship. Share a dream, a flash, a memory that told you to hold your tongue, because your testimony could teach another chosen one how to guard their blueprint. Stay alert, because the next reveal hands you authority that asks for no signatures but heaven's. It was like a lens sliding into place inside your chest. Suddenly the blur sharpened. A memory you used to dismiss as random now glows with meaning. A sentence someone muttered years ago clicks into a pattern. A coincidence lands with the weight of a covenant. You feel the shift not as noise but as a hush, a settling of dust that lets you see the furniture of your life clearly for the first time. The confusion you wore like fog begins to thin, and through it you glimpse a careful geometry guiding you. A hand you could not name arranging moments like constellations you are finally ready to read. Then the world around you begins whispering in a language you somehow already know. Numbers repeat like drumbeats at the edge of sleep. Fragments of phrases follow you from billboard to book spine. Dreams arrive carrying scrolls you unroll at dawn. Reality shows its seams. Gold threads, sacred angles, divine math embedded in coffee shop conversations and traffic lights turning green at the exact second your spirit says move. You start hearing the code beneath the chatter, feeling the pulse under the pavement, sensing that nothing has been mute. You just hadn't tuned your ear to the pitch of prophecy etched beneath the ordinary. Inside, the dials turn up. Intuition stops negotiating and starts declaring. Your boundaries rise like city walls rebuilt in record time, Nehemiah style, because you finally see what needs guarding. Rooms that once felt fine now scrape your nerves, while paths you avoided start humming welcome. You notice how your body answers questions before your mouth can. Skin prickling at false peace, breath deepening when truth walks in. This isn't theory, it's confirmation. The instrument was always tuned. You've just started reading the sheet music in your bones. Outside, the world mirrors your shift. People realign. Some drift, some draw near, some reveal their true colors in the new light. Opportunities that made no sense last year snap into place now, like doors that were waiting for a specific knock. Resistance still appears, but you decode it fast. Not as a stop sign, but as proof that you've stepped onto a live wire of purpose. Circumstances rearrange with the precision of a stage crew between acts, and you realize divine architecture isn't poetic fluff. It's scaffolding showing up exactly where your feet plan to fall. Memory returns like a song you couldn't stop humming even when you didn't know the words. You don't feel new, you feel ancient and awake. Verses you never studied feel familiar. Zephaniah 3 verse 17 humming that God rejoices over you with singing. Ecclesiastes 3 reminding you of appointed times. And suddenly your heart recognizes the cadence. The dream you carried since childhood, the one you couldn't explain, starts speaking in full sentences. This is recollection, not invention. Your deepest intelligence, buried under years of survival, climbs the stairs with a lantern and nods. Told you I'd be back. With the veil thinning, the future stops being a distant construction project and starts feeling like a hallway you're already walking. Destiny doesn't ask for drafts. It asks for steps. What's ahead is not being created from scratch. It's being remembered and reclaimed like land with your family name on it. Permission slips burn in the fire of clarity. A call rises from within, poetic, insistent, move now. You feel it in your marrow. You are done waiting for a green light from people who can't even see the road you're on. The prophecy is no longer in hiding. It's in your hands. Reclamation begins with a simple, fierce truth. The resistance was confirmation, not condemnation. Every attempt to silence you highlighted the frequency you carry. Your voice returns not as volume but as voltage. You lift what was always yours, discernment, authority, peace like a blade, and you sheath it in wisdom. No more casting pearls into empty wells. No more leaking blueprints to hungry gossip. You step like a surgeon, clean and deliberate, cutting away the rot without wasting emotion. This is stewardship. This is power measured, not flaunted. Revelation is an invitation, never the curtain call. The truth has been patient, waiting for you to be ready to wear it without apology. Let this sentence settle like a seal on your spirit. You are reading the world correctly now. Comment precision if you've learned that secrecy isn't fear. It's stewardship, and share a dream, a flash, a memory that told you to hold your tongue, because your testimony could teach another chosen one how to guard their blueprint. Keep your senses sharp, because what rises next is authority that doesn't need signatures, strategies that move without announcements, and a mantle you were born to carry into rooms that have no idea the light that's about to walk in. Authority without approval. When Samuel poured oil on David, no committee signed off. 1 Samuel 16 verse 7 reminds us that God's gaze is not the crowd's gaze. You have spent years seeking thumbs up from hands too shaky to bless you. That ends now. Authority is a current, not a certificate. It flows when you stand where you were planted, when you decide that peace is proof enough. Those who once laughed at your silence will one day quote your stillness. Comment authority if you're done asking for rooms to validate what God already stamped. Tell us how you knew you were called even when no one clapped. Your voice may free someone still knocking at locked doors. Do not loosen your grip, because what rises next is the full wave of this message crashing into action. A mirror stands in front of you, and for once it doesn't ask, "Who are you?" It asks, "Will you step through?" This is the split in the road, the breath before the leap, the place where waiting turns into will. You've gathered signs, decoded patterns, survived the pushback. Now the question is simple and sharp. Do you keep circling the promise, or do you plant both feet in it? Passivity is a luxury you can't afford anymore. One side holds the version of you who explained, pleaded, waited for nods. The other side holds the one who moves because the order was already given. Choose. Hear yourself calling back pieces you scattered to keep others calm. I reclaim my time. I reclaim my voice. I reclaim my space. I reclaim my name. Say it like a coronation, because it is. Years of pouring into cups with holes were not waste. They were training in discernment. The pauses were preparation, not punishment. 1 Samuel 16 verse 7 tells you the gaze that matters is not theirs, and the oil was poured with no committee present. Take your seat as if it has always been yours, because it has. This is not rage. It is rightful return. This is not ego. It is order restored. Let's name what they mocked so you can wield it. Your insight is a curing. Your sensitivity is sonar. Your memory is a sealed scroll. Your discernment is night vision. Your strength is a quiet forge. These are not abstract traits. They are tools. Codes run under your skin. Fire sits behind your tongue. Armor lines your ribs like hidden plates. Ephesians 6 speaks of armor, but you learned yours by walking through arrows. What was ridiculed as weakness was signature, God's watermark on your soul. Pick up each piece. Test its weight. It all fits your hand because it was made for it. See the path under you like ink appearing under heat. You are not hunting a map. You are activating it with movement. Every step forward throws light on the next flagstone. Clarity is a byproduct of obedience, not a prerequisite. Think of Abram stepping into nameless land, of Peter stepping onto water that shouldn't hold weight. The mission is stitched into the road you are already on. The phone call you keep delaying, the boundary you need to state, the book half written, the apology you must stop offering for being here. Walk. As you do, direction hardens underfoot. Zoom out and the constellation comes into view. You are not the only one waking with a word in your mouth and a burn in your chest. Across cities, languages, timelines, soul tribes are forming. People who won't flinch at your fire or demand you dim your light to soothe their shadows. Divine clusters click into place when you stand in yours. The old circles can't hold what you carry. Let them crack. A rising order is gathering, not with slogans but with alignment. When you blaze, you give the next one permission to spark. Now take command of your energy like a priest guards flame on a windy night. This is stewardship, not show. Alignment costs something. Sleep, convenience, fake peace. Set boundaries like holy borders. This enters, that does not. Choose what feeds the call, starve what feeds the noise. Think of Leviticus fire kept through the night. Devotion is daily, not dramatic. You are entrusted with a current that heals and exposes. Handle it with clean hands, steady breath, and a heart tuned to the one who sent you. So listen closely. Everything you have felt, feared, seen, and survived has led to this threshold. You are ready. Not almost, not with caveats, ready. Doubt has no authority here. The oil already dried on your brow. Isaiah 62 verse 2 says a new name is given. Feel it rising from your bones to your tongue. This is the inhale before the portal opens, the final heartbeat before the sprint. Hear it spoken over you like thunder wrapped in velvet. Move, chosen one. Move now. This is not a message, it's a summons. Embodiment is the only answer that counts from here. Let this final line settle like a bell in your chest. Your approval was stamped in heaven long before earth learned your name. Comment authority if you feel that stamp burning again, and share the dream, the whisper, the moment you knew without applause. Your truth may free someone still bowing to closed doors. Keep your grip firm, because what comes next is application in motion. How to walk this mantle into rooms that don't yet know they're about to shift. The wave is cresting. Meet it standing. You are not a mistake wandering through noise. You are a tuned instrument carrying a score that exposes lies and lifts veils. Your body is a transmitter, your presence a filter, your silence a verdict. Own it, walk with it, shield it when needed, but never shrink it. Let their confusion be their classroom and your clarity be your compass. The code is awake now, tend it, don't tame it. A lantern swings in a hallway you thought was empty, throwing moving shapes on the wall, and a whisper inside says, "Listen to the light, not the shadow." In that sway, you realize you were never stumbling through chaos. You were tuning to a hidden pitch. Noise was the mask. Music was the truth. You are not lost sound. You are a note placed on purpose, vibrating at a frequency that shakes dust off buried things. Every time a lie cracked in your presence, it was the score in you striking through the measure. Every time the room grew awkward, it was the veil slipping. Let that image settle. You, a living instrument, and the world adjusting to your tone. A question rises like steam off morning streets. When did you first feel the room change because you entered, not because you spoke? Your breath has been a filter far longer than your words. You inhaled their stories, their masks, their doubt, and your body sifted truth from pretense without a sound. Silence became verdict, not void. Think of Isaiah 30 verse 15, hiding strength in quiet trust. That verse lives in your ribs. You do not need to bang drums to prove rhythm when your heartbeat already sets tempo. The calm they mocked was a courtroom in session. Their confusion is not your cue to translate. It is their lesson plan written against your steady spine. Picture a set of keys in your palm, each one etched with scenes from your life: scar keys, tear keys, laugh keys, midnight prayer keys. None of them were wasted. Each opens a door that answers a different why. What they called oversensitivity is a master key that hears tumblers move before metal touches lock. What they called pride is a skeleton key carved from knowing who stamped you. Your body is a transmitter, yes, but it is also a locksmith. Codes hum through your skin, and doors of people, of places, of timings swing or stick based on that hum. Handle those keys with care. Do not jingle them for applause. A vision, a map made of light, only appears when feet press down. You keep waiting to see the full route when the law of your path is revelation through motion. Walk and the ink rises. Act and alignment appears. You are the compass and the traveler, the directive and the doer. Clarity is not a letter that arrives. It is a fire that ignites when you strike flint against stone. Let your choices be sparks, each one small but sure, until the dark you feared becomes a room lit by your own obedience. The score you carry is performed in steps, not speeches. Somewhere, a chorus you cannot see is warming up. You are not alone in this song. Across borders and timelines, others wake with the same ache, the same code buzzing through their bones. Soul tribes gather like iron filings to a magnet. Quiet at first, then undeniable. You will know them by the way your spirit exhales, by the way conversation skips small talk and lands on purpose. Stop shrinking to fit circles that are dissolving. When you stand at full height, you give the next one permission to rise without apology. Your clarity is not selfish. It is communal oxygen. Imagine a chalice being placed in your hands with a simple charge. Guard what pours and where it pours. This is energetic command, not control. Alignment now asks for daily vows: what you consume, who you allow close, where your mind rests at night. Steward your presence like sacred oil. Pour where soil is ready. Withhold where mouths only want to taste, not transform. Boundaries are not walls of fear. They are gates of wisdom. You don't hoard the light. You host it. Hosting demands order. Order births impact. You were never sent to argue with shadows. You were sent to turn on the light. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Like this video, and comment "I am chosen" to let this message anchor in your soul. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. For full prophetic revelations daily, join the membership via the link in the description. Your spiritual path deserves more than fragments. Step into the full light. And if this message moved you deeply, consider tapping the super thanks button to support the mission. Every super thanks fuels the light we're spreading together. Thank you to every member holding this fire. Walk silent, walk sure, walk aligned. Their lies end where your obedience begins. Keep transmitting, keep rising, keep the code alive.